let's start off first by asking you what excites you about your team this season.
Well, I like the fact we've got 19 guys back that, and some young players that got an opportunity to play a lot of minutes for us. I think that helped them grow. So we've got a lot of guys that understand how hard it is to win, and we've got a very good incoming freshman class that I think those guys will be contributors for us, but maybe they don't need to be right off the bat. So, and I like our group. I think they've got the right attitude. I think they've worked hard through the summer. They're excited about each other, and they have high expectations.
Individually, you returned 5 of your top 6 scorers from a year ago, although you did lose your leading point getter in Caleb Herbert. Who do you see carrying a sizable chunk of that offensive load this winter, or is it going to be sort of a scoring by committee thing like was the case last year?
Yeah, I think up front we've got a lot of depth. I think last year we had the same thing. I think we've got certainly 15 forwards. I mean, that all can play, and but again, you always look to your older guys, your returning guys to lead the charge. Obviously, guys like Cameron Easy and Farley that maybe didn't have the numbers they had last year to bounce back. Obviously we had some freshmen in Osterberg and I follow do a good job offensively and down in Ottawa. So those guys we expect to get better, and and every year you hope that there's some guys that maybe you don't think that kind of jump out. Justin Crandall had 14 goals, was a senior leader for us. I expect him to be there. So you really look to your upperclassmen, your experience, guys that have some experience, and then I think there's going to be some freshmen, just like there's been every year, that are going to contribute. As the year goes on.
Defensively, it all starts with goaltending. Last year's workhorse, Aaron Crandall, graduated last spring, but you still have a battle-tested veteran back. You bring in a promising rookie, and you also have a solid backup. How do you see that goaltending situation shaping up at this point?
Well, there's going to be a battle. There's no question. Obviously, we brought Casimir in to give us, hopefully a guy that can challenge for the #1 spot. Matt's our most experienced goaltender as far as games played. Alex has played some games, but right now that's something that's going to play out. But we need to solidify that early. We need to find a guy that's going to be consistent, and our guys are going to certainly play well in front of. We've got to help that. But again, I'm comfortable with the guys that we have there. There's going to be a battle, and it might take some time before someone emerges, but by no means is there one guy that we're going in and saying, hey, this is your job.
As in the goaltending situation, are you guys, last year, kind of the first half of the season, you had kind of a split, and then Aaron kind of took over after the winter break. Are you comfortable with an A-B situation, or would you prefer that someone kind of come out and take control as they're starting?
Jumps out. I think that, I think you look at some of the years we've been very successful when we've had one guy, and you're going into the year that way. In the last couple of years, I think, not that we haven't been successful, but it's certainly a key position. But there's other teams in our league that are going through the same thing. So I think the teams that are picked near the top are the teams that have returning experienced goaltenders.
Moving out then, tell us a little bit about your blue line crew. It looks like you have a decent amount of experience back, and certainly abundance of size with at least 3 of those guys. What do you expect to see out of that group?
Well, I thought for the most part it was a question mark last year, especially when you've got two guys coming in that are true freshmen. They kind of got thrown into the fire, and I think they did a great job, and I think hopefully they're better for that. Obviously Andy's their workhorse. That will continue to be that for us. But I think we've got a little more depth, and depth with experience versus last year. We've only got really, one freshman. Obviously Brendan was here last year, so he didn't get to play, but he got a chance to practice and kind of see what the league's all about. So he is a freshman as far as in terms of playing for us, but he's also been around and kind of understands a little bit. So, hopefully much improved play, more consistency, but we need to get some more offense from the back end. We didn't score a lot last year. Andy was the only guy that scored, so we need to generate hopefully a little bit more offense from the back end, which can help our forwards.
Special teams, your club finished in the middle of the pack in both the power play and penalty kill efficiency. You do return basically all members of both of those units. Do you see that ramping up this year, both areas?
Well, the power play in particular, it was foreign territory for us. We haven't been under 20% for about 7 years, and we never hit that mark, so there was a lot of inconsistency there. Some of it's, there was some good play, some bad luck, but that happens. Running a good goalies, hit pipes, you can do those things. You can be doing a lot of things right and not score, but it's certainly an area that we are going to focus on to get back up over that 20+%. And I thought our penalty kill was outstanding through about 3/4 of the year, but I think we took too many damn penalties, and in turn, that hurt us as the year went on. So one of the areas for us to really clamp down on is being a more disciplined team. I thought we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a lot, taking untimely penalties on the power play, penalties when you're trying to get back into the game. Just bad timing and certainly needless penalties. So it's something that we're going to stress here since day one, that we need to be more disciplined. So I think in doing that, maybe that might help certainly both those areas.
Last year, this time, we asked you about your thoughts on entering the first year of NCHC play. Looking back now, was it pretty much what you envisioned?
Probably harder. I think, plus you throw in our schedule, it was ranked number 1 in non-conference strength of schedule. I think, but it made for, I really enjoyed the year. I think playing the schedule we did, and we've got another one coming up this year, and playing in our league, it really keeps you guys focused on what you need to do week in and week out, and hopefully that makes you a better team as the year goes on.
And then finally, you're entering your 15th season with the Bulldogs. That's the longest continuous tenure of any NCHC head coach. Looking back, what are some of the biggest changes in college hockey since you took over the UB program back at the turn of the century?
Well, I mean, obviously the most recent is the conference realignment. That's kind of shaken everybody up a little bit. I think recruiting has changed. Certainly big time with earlier and earlier recruiting and getting commitments. But I think coaches have gotten better. The thing we talk about when we're recruiting a lot is, nobody can't outwork anybody anymore. I mean, everybody works hard at recruiting, and I think you've seen that through the parity in college hockey. And probably lastly is just the early departures. They're good and bad because you want those kids in your program because they're good players. But it's also sometimes hard to plan when those kids are going to leave. We're getting a better idea because it's gone on long enough. But, all those things have kind of changed the landscape a little bit of the recruiting process, of teams' dynamics. All those things changed a little bit. And, so it's made it a little bit more challenging. But you know what? You got to be flexible, and you got to go with change and do the best you can. And we have a philosophy that we use, and hopefully it continues to work.
And with those early departures, I mean, obviously you don't like seeing guys that are doing well for you leave, but what do you think it says about the program to have guys the last couple of years that have left to play for, professional leagues coming out of your program?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, when you go to college hockey, you're there to get an education and play hockey, but unfortunately when you're a good player, if you're a top few rounds, or now it's been more free agents, you're happy for those guys. I mean, this is part of their development too, and you want to see them move on and continue to do what they've kind of grown up wanting to do, and that's play at the highest level. And we just want them to have a good experience here and be prepared. And some guys are, and some guys aren't. I want our guys to leave here and be able to play in the NHL, like the Niskanens and the Raymonds and those guys, and not have to toil around the American League. But sometimes it's a hard thing to do, and you got to go through. And you see stories like Fontaine and even Jason Garrison, who played a little bit in the American League before they got their opportunity. And you got to be strong mentally. So you're really proud of those guys that they stuck with it, but you're also happy for the guys that get that opportunity. Sad to see them leave, but always know that they're going to be a Bulldog down the road, and you know what? I enjoy watching them play and watching those guys grow at the next level.